Hello, you beautiful, beautiful people. Welcome back to Forza Horizon 4. Welcome back to the channel. I hope you are well. Today, we are jumping into Forza Horizon 4's newest car, the 1968 Pontiac Firebird, checking out some upgrades and what this thing can do. So if you are new around here, definitely consider subscribing. Let's go check out Pontiac Firebird. Now, the Pontiac Firebird is Forza Horizon 4's most recent car to be added to the list. To add it to your garage and your collection, you need to complete a season championship called Phoenix from the Ashes in the spring season, part of Series 34. And here it is, the 1968 Pontiac Firebird, running a 6.5 litre, I'm guessing a V8, up front, 335 horsepower, 430 foot-pounds of torque. It is quite heavy though, at 3,550 pounds. Now all that power, the 335 horsepower, does go through a 4-speed gearbox, so it's not the fastest car in game. It was never going to be. 130-ish miles an hour, 135, somewhere around there, which we almost hit down that little straight. Now seeing this car in game is absolutely incredible. I love this thing, although we have just crashed it. I absolutely love it. We don't see things on the road like this here in the UK. Now, normally, when testing out vehicles here on the channel, we take them for a race completely bone stock, but this thing has been in Rivals for the last 3 weeks. It's in the monthly Rivals, so we're not going to do that. I already know how it handles, I already know how it drives. It's not that quick, it doesn't handle that great, it understeers. It's just American muscle in a nutshell, but we're going to jump straight to the upgrades. I've got a couple of builds in mind. Now, upgrades and customization, the best part of any new car to Horizon 4, but for this first build, what I want to do is keep the stock engine. I want to keep that 6.5 litre, I'm guessing V8, 335 horsepower, 430 foot-pounds of torque. We can swap in a 6.2 litre V8, 415 horsepower, 415 foot-pounds of torque. We can also have a Dodge 8.4 litre V10, 640 horsepower, 600 foot-pounds of torque. We will come back to that engine in our second build, but like I say, I want to keep the stock engine for this first build. Now for this first build, what I want to do is give this car the upgrades it could have had if it was built in 2021. So we're going to go ahead and slap on a supercharger that adds 56 horsepower. For handling, we're going to give it the best it can have. We're going to give it race brakes, we're going to give it race suspension. Although we can have rally suspension and drift suspension, we might come back to the drift suspension at the end of the video just to see if we can get it sideways. I'm pretty sure we can. It's a rear-wheel drive muscle car, but we'll go ahead and fit the race suspension. We'll fit the race roll bars front and rear. We're not going to do a roll cage because I want to try and keep the weight down, and we are going to take a little bit of weight out of it. Now if we do race weight reduction, performance index goes way up. We do take out 668 pounds, bringing it down to 2,903 pounds in weight. Now for the drivetrain, we're going to jump in and give it a modern clutch and a modern gearbox. This will give us 6 gears when going down the road. We're going to do the old drive shaft, and we're going to do the race differential as well. Now, I'm guessing tyres weren't great in the 1960s, so we're going to hop in and I'm going to give this thing some sport tyres, really make it stick to the road. And to help those tyres grip, we're going to make the front wheels wider to 275s and the rear wheels wider as well. These are going to be absolutely huge, 345 millimeters at the rear. And as with any new car added to Horizon 4, we've got the good old track width. So hopefully this is going to sort out our dodgy fitment at the front and at the rear, which it does. This thing looks absolutely insane. I absolutely love this car already. I love the look of it anyway. Let's hope it drives how it looks. We've got some body modifications that we can do as well, some aero and appearance. So on the front, we can get a Forza front flap, which I do like the look of, but we're going to leave it off for this first build. We can get a Forza rear flap. Again, don't mind the look of it on these kind of cars, but again, we're going to leave it off. We've even got some bonnet options for the Pontiac as well. We've got the blower and then a couple of other extra hoods in there as well. I think I'm actually going to fit the blower. I kind of like the look of it on this car. It's really aggressive and really mean. And then we come to power. Now I'm going to try and keep this thing in A-class as much as I can whilst fitting on as much power as I can at the same time. The final numbers on our Pontiac Firebuild, if it was built in 2021, 2,950 pounds in weight, so a lot lighter than it was completely bone stock. 651 horsepower, which I think keeps up with the modern muscle cars of today. Class A 800, 51,600 credits worth of upgrades. Painting options for the Pontiac, they're nothing in advance this time round, but we do have some manufacturer colours to play with. And I think the colours in the 60s were just better. Like, look at this orange. It's absolutely insane. And you've got sort of the pearlescent metal flake in there as well. You've got this gorgeous sort of plum purple and then this blue, which I absolutely adore. You've even got a couple of reds in here, some whites, some silvers, and some greens. But I think it's going to have to be this blue. You join me on the motorway doing a quick top speed run. The tuning sheet said 200 miles an hour, just under 200 miles an hour. We're currently doing 180, which isn't bad in a car from the 60s. Pontiac's got some speed to it. 195, currently in 6th gear, cruising 197, 198, 199. Can we get 200 on the speedo? We can. 200 miles an hour. That will do. What are the brakes like in a car from the 60s? Bang them on, not bad at all. I'll tell you what, I think this thing is ready for a race. Here we go then in our upgraded Pontiac Firebird, 650 horsepower, rear wheel drive, up against unbeatable gravitas. Let's see what this beauty can do. Down to the first corner, hard on the brakes, get it tucked in, definitely improve the handling. Over the stock variant, around the outside, full send, don't spin the rear wheels, a bit late on the brakes, but that's okay. Up the inside, and we are up into 5th. Here we go, going to pull the speed up the straight with the 650 horsepower. Let's go, ringing out those gears around the outside of the Mustang, beautiful. How's it going to take this corner? You don't really have to brake for this. Off the throttle a little bit, back on the power on the way out. Send it down the inside, don't quite know why he's braking. Send into first. Go on, up the inside, go on. We're neck and neck, don't push me wide. Nice, got it done. Beautiful, up into first place by the end of the first lap, let's go. And that is exactly why I build my older American muscle cars the way I do. I give them handling over power. Yes, it's got 650 horsepower, but it's got the handling modifications to deal with that. It's got the wider tyres, it's got the upgraded tyres, it's got the weight reduction, it's got the suspension, the brakes, the anti-roll bars, all the good stuff to keep that 650 horsepower in check. And you've got to think, this thing is still rear-wheel drive. It's not even four-wheel drive. I can pretty much put the power on now, and it grips up and goes. There's not much wheel spin. There's going to be a little bit. It's a rear-wheel drive muscle car. But other than that, this thing is pretty damn good, and it's pretty good fun. Go with it. So let's get the power down here, down this back straight. This is what we can do. We can go full send to the first corner, sling it into 5th because we've got 6 gears now with that racing gearbox, giving it all the modern modifications that it needs. 160 miles an hour, hard on the brakes, into 3rd gear, levering the throttle on the way through. It's just a nice car to drive in A-Class. Those modern modifications. And obviously that supercharger hanging out the bonnet just adds cool factor. Finish line in sight. Let's go Pontiac Firebird across the line. First place. That has to be probably one of the best A-Class American muscle car builds I've ever built. But now we're going to turn things up a notch. We're going to turn things all the way up to 11. We're going to slot in that 8.4 litre Dodge Viper V10. We're also going to slot in some 4-wheel drive, and we're also going to go twin turbo. I'm also going to remove the supercharger from the bonnet as we are twin turbo. I know no one's going to know the difference, but I'll know, and that's all that matters. Something we don't do very often here on the channel, and that is drag racing. So we're going to go ahead and fit the drag tyres. Acceleration goes all the way to 10. Now I was going to use the drag run, compete against other players in a series of quickfire drag races, but it's taking way too long to find a session. I don't think anybody's actually using that feature, so we'll just jump into some normal solo drag races. Here we go, drag race number 1. I'm pretty sure I'm going to walk it against the driver tires. None of them will be 4-wheel drive. Late on the shift, I'm hoping for mid-8s, early 9s. We'll see what the Pontiac can do. I did mess up that first gear shift though, so we'll see what time we get. 8.8, that's not bad. If I perfect that first gear change, that could be pretty good. Okay, run number 2. We're going to do 3 runs of this. 8.8 to beat. Let's get the first gear change correct. That's a lot better straight out the gate. Let's go, Pontiac. Come on, up to 150 miles an hour. Cross the line at the end of 4th gear. We smash in an 8.7. I reckon if I fiddle with a little bit of tuning, I can get that down to 8.5. Okay, run number 3. I've changed a few things in the settings. Let's see what the Pontiac can do, getting those gear shifts completely on point. Let's go up to 4th, across the line, 161 this time. 8.7 for me, I'm pretty happy with that. With my knowledge of drag tuning, that's pretty good for me. I reckon with the right upgrades and the right tune, you can get that down to maybe an 8.5 or even an 8.2. Jumping back into the upgrades then, we've drag raced the Pontiac, we've raced the Pontiac. Let's go ahead and drift the Pontiac. That means switching it back to rear wheel drive. It means changing the tyres back to sport compound and fitting one of the best features ever added to Forza Horizon 4, good old drift springs and dampers. Here we go then, let's go get the Pontiac sideways using the good old S-Benz drift zone. Now the reason I use this drift zone is I sort of gauge my drift cars on this drift zone. If I can get between 90 and 100,000 points, then I've built a pretty good drift car in my view. But let's chuck the Pontiac in and see what it can get. Let's keep it in 3rd gear. Keep the torque and the power there. Not too bad, it's controllable. Quite a small car this. It shouldn't be too bad for drifting. The only thing is its weight. Other than that, I'm putting it on that white line as much as I want to. Get it back the other way. That's not bad at all. 97,637 points. That's pretty damn good. And this thing is super fun. Get sideways as well with that Viper V10. And I even reckon with the standard engine, it'd be pretty good as well. There we go, the Pontiac Firebird, Forza Horizon 4's newest addition to be added to the car list. Now yes, this car is not the best car in game, it's never going to be. Could it have more upgrades? Of course it could. Any car added to Horizon 4 could have more upgrades. But what this thing does is sparks my love for American muscle cars once again. I just want to go and tune and upgrade and race more American muscle cars. But as always, thank you so much for watching. If you are new around here, definitely consider subscribing. Stay safe and have an awesome day.